Hi, and welcome to episode 8 of the 3 levels of mind that I'm presenting in a series of videos to explain a different pathway that I believe that the human species needs to take at this stage of our evolution. Now, I want to talk about the power of love and what's involved in the power of love and how that can help us go forward in a peaceful and happy way. Every man, woman, and child on this earth can go forward in a loving and peaceful way. But we need to understand love for what it is, that it's part of the human brain. So, in that sense, I'm going to start by describing the difference between our belief that God is love and love is God, and just where God is. Now, a few million years ago, or millions of years ago, we evolved out of the earth and through various stages in our lives, and I believe that it was the power of love, the power of love that we had in the lower part of our brain, in the earliest part of our brain that evolved, that is responsible for our successful evolution. Now, 2,000 years ago, around when the Bible was written, people were thinking that we had a higher order of our minds, and there were some things going on that they couldn't explain. So they came up with the idea of God. They put love and called it God. Now, and in the 2,000 years that we've had this belief in God, it hasn't really stood us in good stead. We're as divided as ever. We don't quite know where we're going. The human species is in a real mess. Some people are doing okay under the present situation, the present circumstances, but it's leaving too many people behind. We should be leaving this glorious, awesome life, and most of us aren't, because we're suffering from depression, anxiety, and all those sorts of things, all sorts of mental illness. And I'm trying to explain in these videos what that's all about. But back to God, 2,000 years ago, we invented this God to explain things. Well, in the year 2023, I suggest that we need to get rid of that. We need to get rid of that altogether. I know that's going to be a controversial statement. Although you can still have your God if you want, but what we need to do as a species is to understand where the power of love is and what the power of love does to us. I can see it's the only real positive way forward for the human species. Just forget what we've done in the past. It hasn't worked. So here's how we go forward with a new understanding, a new way to understand how the human brain works. It's very important for the joy and the happiness of the human species as a whole, not just a few people who want to believe in a God, but for everybody that wants to understand the human condition. So I describe God like this. God is a part of our intellectual mind. Our intellectual mind came up with the notion of a God to explain a lot of things that we couldn't explain. But those things that come up from this level of brain, things that come up from there that we don't understand, we've given them to the power of God. Even in the official statements, people are saying we just need to open up to our higher selves, and things will be all right. And that's the way psychology's going. If we just develop more brain power and get to the knowledge in our higher selves, that will cure, or it will help humankind. But the power of love down here is really that power that we're talking about. It's the higher self. So that's a bit of a conundrum to think like that. We think of our higher selves as being higher up in our thinking ability, but that's not the case. Our power of sensations give us our godlike qualities, but we don't understand what's going on there because we don't understand this sensation level of brain. To make my point, I'm going to refer to near-death experiences, in that when people have a near-death experience, that just about every time they're unconscious. So what happens when you're unconscious is your cognitive brain goes offline, and probably even your feelings, and then you have the brain stem up here. It's the last part of your brain to die. I think science has proved that. When you die, the cognitive brain dies first, and then your feeling brain, your green area there, your limbic system, and then your brain stem is the last to die, because that's the life support. It's the heartbeat, the breath, and it's also the spiritual, very spiritual part of our body. So when people experience a near-death experience, most of them will write books about, they talk to God and all that sort of stuff, but no, they didn't. They've experienced the level of their brainstem. They've experienced the power of love in their brainstem without the interference of their cognitive belief systems. And that's an important thing to understand. Shut off all our belief systems and probably even our feelings, but mostly our belief systems, and just experience life as it is. Experience life at this really deep level of the brainstem sensations. And that's, if you want to understand what the power of love gives us, well then you can Google and read all you want about near-death experiences. They're all the same. They all talk about love and light, and it changes people's minds. When they access that part of their brain, it changes people's outlook on life, and they become more loving people, more family dedicated. And that's what our brain stem does for us. It brings us together for our family's sake and for evolution's sake. It's obviously God has. We say we get that from God, but when you look at what the belief in God's done for us, it's torn us all apart. 300 or 400 different religions, and we're prepared to fight each other, perhaps even prepared to kill each other for our belief in God. But so if we understand the power of our sensations, well then we can live our lives through the power of love. And I'll just show you some of those things that existed within the power of love, within your lower brain. Love is a state of mind. So I think if any of you fall in love, you understand what that is. It seems to upset your system no end, in a good way. But it gives us our morals and ethics. People say, we should believe in God and should believe in the Bible, but the belief in God actually pinched a lot of the things from the power of love, which is a good thing. But they don't understand the power of love. So we've come at a time in our evolution where we have to get rid of this idea of a God and understand that it's love that has made us successful in evolution, and it's love that we need to get back to if we're going to continue on with evolution, rather than self-destruct, we seem to be a long way down that path now. So love gives us our morals and ethics and our empathy. Absolutely no doubt about that. And we don't, a lot of us aren't attached to that, because love and empathy is actually a feeling. And if we have this primal pain down here, then we shut off our feelings, and so you can't feel your morals and ethics, and so then you can do bad things to other people. So that's another reason why we got to get back to the power of love, so we all have empathy for each other. No, and that comes to this number 2, no right to kill or maim other humans. If I want to walk down the street and know that I'm 100% safe, that nobody's going to kill me for my views or for whatever, and I give that right to every other human on this earth. You can walk down the street, say whatever you like, do whatever you like, but if you have love, you'll do that within the bounds of caring for other people. Now, and we need that for the group survival. Now in America's going through, I believe it's going through a transition time. I see a country in decline anyway, and a lot of other people would agree with me on that, because and one of the things that I think they've gone down the wrong path is that they've underlined the individual in their human rights thing that they have, the power of the individual, and so that's kind of the path they've gone down to. The individual can do whatever they like without regard to the group, and that's just not the way. That's just not the way it is. We've got to be doing everything in regard to the survival of the group, and there are rewards for doing that: love, being with other people. We need that connection with other people, but we need to treat them right. We need to, and that's for the group survival. We survived as humans because we had to be in groups to protect each other. We don't have the speed or sharp claws to as our survival mechanism. We just have pure love, and we developed that because we needed to be in groups. And if you need to be in groups, well, then you need to have a character that other people get on with, and that's where we for group survival. And that leads into number 4. Love brings us closer together. Love brings us together to protect each other, to breed, and to have fun and do whatever else in life in a happy and healthy way. It brings us together. God, by any standard, separates us, and so we need something better than what we have in the belief in God. Love brings us together, and that's an important thing to understand. But it won't bring us together if we carry primal pain. And our biology and our genetics, this is probably isn't known in the biology world, but the power of love has the energy, has the resonance to change the way the atoms spin, the parts of the atom. There's 25 parts in an atom, apparently, up quarks and down quarks. The power of love has the ability to change that, whether your quarks are spinning one way or the other, and that's where science will prove the power of love. Or one way they can prove the power of love, that love governs our biology and our genetics. When I was married, I didn't know what love was. I couldn't feel anything for my partner. After I did primal therapy and got rid of the primal pain out of my body, I was about 60 odd years old, and I actually had feelings for somebody that I'd never felt before. And I think that was the feeling of love. I believe it was the oxytocin flowing through my body for the first time in my life when I was 60 years old. So that's how important that the power of love is. Love affects our biology and our genetics. And you might be worried. People say, well, you need God. There are some people that don't understand God, but they want spirituality. Well, love is our spirituality. I've found that, I never really understood God when I was younger, but what do you do about a spiritual life? Well, love has given me all the spirituality that I can handle, and then some. I haven't accepted it all into my life yet, but I know I've done a fairly good job of it. I've been down that road a fair way, but I know there's further to go, and getting rid of the primal pain out of my body and accepting the spirituality. And so we can get rid of God, and that's a pretty controversial statement, but when we get rid of God, I'm not saying just get rid of it for the sake of getting rid of it. I'm saying accept all this and then God will fade away. That's if you believe in God. If you don't believe in God and you don't understand spirituality, well, this is what you're missing. You're missing pure love. And I'm just going to get my other thing that I've shown in previous episodes, where we all need to be up here between 80 and 100, so our oxytocin flows, so we have the love. I've lived most of my life down at the 50 level, and it was quite horrible. Now that I'm up here and I experience love, so that's more. I'm not a psychologist or a psychiatrist. I don't have any big. I've got a degree in psychology, but I didn't go any further than that. The strength of what I'm saying comes from me getting rid of my primal pain, going from a position where I had basically no feeling at all to up here. I've got rid of my primal pain and I've moved up here. Now the human species has trouble doing that because we don't have a way of getting rid of the primal pain. There are a lot of people trying to understand that. They understand what childhood trauma does to an adult, but we need to formalise that in science. And one of the biggest things to do is to understand the power of love. That's where the human race needs to go. That's where we're going to go happily and awesomely into our future. But we need to go into that with the power of love and understand what that is. That's the future of humanity.